Hello and welcome back to day 12 of your guilt challenge. So these last few days have been really big on the guilt part. The first bunch of days we talked about gratitude. Now we're going to finish off on the guilt part. Then we're going to go back to gratitude, probably starting tomorrow. So this last piece on guilt, as you heard, these last three videos were about the three pieces of guilt from the law of one. So every guilt thought has an emotion of either sadness, anger or frustration, or fear. And the last 3 days, we broke each of them down. Sadness, we talked about as the perception of the lack of separation from God. Anger is from this attachment that something outside of me will make me happy because somewhere in me, I am distraught, not enough, and so on. And the third one is control, which we talked about yesterday, which then creates fear. And that is a matter of like keeping safe, keeping safe, keeping safe, and thereby forgetting our connection with our divinity. So in this last video on guilt, at least for now, I'm going to talk about the very bottom piece of the guilt is this idea that there's something deeply wrong with us. Both in the Divine Mother class and in my group coaching classes these few weeks, we've been talking about the iceberg analogy. So an iceberg, as we probably have entered self-development at some point, you saw that picture of an iceberg where there's a tip of the iceberg above the water, and on the bottom of the water is the bigger iceberg, right? You might have seen that. At the very bottom of the iceberg is there's this thought that there's something deeply, deeply wrong with us. And then that forms this idea of self-attack, of perfectionism, of people-pleasing, all judgment. All of it comes from this very bottom of the iceberg, that there's something deeply, deeply wrong with us. That's the deepest layer of the subconscious. And right now, your conscious mind might be going, bullshit, Divi. Stop this video. She's lost her mind. I'm exiting the school container. Cool. Having been in this world for close to 30 years now, it's almost like every yoga class I took, every meditation I did has been taking me to this tip of the iceberg that when I actually start to discover it and look at it, it's like, oh my God, this is the origin of everything. And when we truly sit with that and notice if your conscious mind wants to run away, that is the very tip of the problem to all guilt. Because if we didn't believe anything was wrong with us, then we would not project our fear and pain onto another person. Then we would be looking for people-pleasing, perfectionism, looking for approval. Because we would know to the core of our being that we are the divine essence of love. We are the capital I am, the isness. And notice if part of your mind is saying, how do I do that? Or how do I sustain that? Or whatever the mind is saying. Because that is simply the mind trying to analyze it rather than simply be with it. And that really is the dance that we do with this work. So we actually start to hear this when we heal this, when we start to say to ourselves, what if the story that I am wrong is learned? What if that story of judgment of that other person is me projecting my stuff onto them, and it comes from this idea that I am wrong? And just breathe into that. What if this story of I'm not enough is the root of everything? Let's just breathe into that. Because that bottom iceberg of judgment forms into self-hate, self-punishment, overworking, perfectionism, looking for somebody outside of me to approve of me. And it's all are running from the divinity or the truth of who we are. So let's just close our eyes for a minute and just be with us. Take a breath. So if and when that guilt comes up, here's a few steps you can say to yourself. Number 1 step, feel it in your body and just breathe into it. Number 2 step, ask yourself, what is this feeling I'm having that's saying there's something wrong with me? And just breathe into that. Number 3 step, give that to the Creator, your God self, the Divine Mother, and ask her to repurpose it so that you can fill your heart with the love or the truth of who you are. And just breathe into that. Because the truth of who I am is love. Beautiful. And then we keep repeating over and over and over again. Beautiful work. So these last 3, 4, 5 days, we've been doing a deep dive into guilt. And so really each moment we're either in one of these emotions that I just talked about with you, or in a deep form of gratitude and joy. Hopefully we've given you enough tips and techniques to identify, is this sadness? Is this anger, frustration? Is this fear, control? And then we give that to God to welcome in our Creator into our heart, into the truth of who we are. So good, right? And you may or may not know, but in the month of November, we're going to be doing a whole month in forgiveness challenge. Similar idea, videos, written content, and so on. For my Canadian friends, happy Thanksgiving. Sending you so much love. Have a beautiful day.